Oh man, it's getting to be that time of year when it starts to get really, really hot in Arizona. It's about 100 degrees, probably a little over, probably about 105. I'm burned out. It's getting to be that kind of year where you just don't go out. People think in Arizona like we got some kind of Fremen superhuman ability to resist the heat, and we can deal with heat more than others. But really, the secret is we just don't go outside. We go where it's nice and air conditioned. You know what I mean? So yeah, we just stay indoors. But yeah, it's double bad for me because with my migraines, I have such a sensitivity to light. So it is absurdly bright outside. It's like walking right into the sun. It's crazy. Also, I have to take a special note of this. I had just finished my video of Death of a Soldier, and I was going to go see X-Men First Class as soon as I was done with that. So today was the day I went to see X-Men. But I was reading on Twitter, and I was so down on myself because somebody came up with the best joke, and it's such a bad joke. I can't believe I didn't come up with it, because usually I'm all over the bad jokes, the really obvious jokes, And the joke was in the scene where Red Brown is on trial. Somebody made the joke, "Why didn't you say it was a kangaroo court?" And I was like, yes! Damn it! Yes! Oh, God. I should have come up with that one. Anyway, I'm fighting off a headache. I'm okay though, as long as I stay hydrated. I think it's really just kind of a factor of heat stroke where you gotta stay hydrated. Anyway, X-Men First Class. I have to. How do I describe this one? As with every review I do, I have to either admit my bias or lack thereof, and kind of describe my state of mind going into any of these videos. So here it goes. I was not looking forward to X-Men First Class at all, and in fact, I had pretty much made up my mind to hate this movie before I walked in, and I don't usually do that, but I hated this one walking in. So I'll explain. And the reason I walked in hating this one is because I hate the X-Men movies. All of them. Yeah, every single one of them. I hate them. I hate them good. They are terrible people. The first movie is nigh unwatchable, and the third movie is worse than that. The first movie, I can't even. What the fuck was Magneto's plan in that movie? What the fuck? They're all and the one I can tolerate. The second one is still not very good. It is below average at best, and it's only carried by the fact the action in X-Men 2 is better. That's really all it is. It's like the action was watchable, and the plot made more sense. But it's not a good movie. So yeah, and Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine had pretty much put the last nail in that coffin for me. I was pretty well set to get in front of here and just rage about X-Men Origins. And you can probably hear the air conditioner back there, but I'm going to keep this short. So yeah, what did I think about X-Men First Class? I really liked it a lot. It is by far the best X-Men movie ever made. That's by far. In fact, I hate to. It shouldn't even be in the same genre, or the same title. Those other the other four movies are so bad in comparison. Not even in comparison, they are objectively all bad. But X-Men First Class is so high above, in the sheer sense that it's watchable. But it's very good, and I started to wonder why. And my first thought was, well, because it had so much more. I really like the ensemble cast, like the core talent that was at the heart of this one. James McAvoy, Fassbender, and all the cameo roles. Kevin Bacon, of course. Michael Ironside in a great cameo, by the way. Really, still, I loved all the all the guest stars. I wouldn't even call them cameos, but the guest stars in this flick, all very good. And at first I thought it was because of that, but really the other X-Men movies had a very good cast as well. Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. You really don't get much better than that. So I don't know. I think it really comes down to script, budget, effects, and direction, which I think X-Men First Class exceeds in pretty much all those regards. Like I said, I was gonna go with the ensemble cast, but I don't think that's it, because really even in the bad X-Men movies, Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are the best part. And of course Wolverine. The Hugh Jackman. He's always very good, and it's really stunning to me, actually, thinking back on the old X-Men movies, that they are as bad as they are, because there's a lot of talent there that is wasted and it's just squandered, who deserved a better better set of movies than the one they got. Really horrendously bad. And I really, honestly, now thinking back on it, the effects are what really hold it back. Really hold all those movies back. Even the most recent one, Wolverine, the effects in that movie are horrible. Well, look at that scene. If you don't believe me, go watch X-Men Origins Wolverine and watch that scene where he's in the bathroom and he's playing with his metal claws, his new metal claws, and he's cutting shit up. Oh, that is so bad. Oh, I have to rewind. I feel the need to talk about some of the previews. Speaking of the Hugh Jackman, he's in a movie called Real Steel, and I know I'm late to the party on this one because I know Brad talked about this. He mentioned some movie and I wasn't even really listening. He's like, "Did you see Real Steel?" And I go, "No." He's like, "Oh, you'll know when you see it. You gotta see this movie." So I watched this preview, and it starts like a boxing movie, and it's got Hugh Jackman, who plays a boxer, and then there's robots. And then it turns into okay, fuck it. It's not Real Steel. It's Rock'em Sock'em Robots, the movie. That's what it is. It's a boxing movie with Rock'em Sock'em Robots. I can't even fucking believe it. It looks so hokey. It's almost like this movie was made on a dare. It's almost. I could actually see someone from Channel Awesome betting me $1,000. I bet you couldn't make a movie out of Rock'em Sock'em Robots. And I'm like, oh, you get me Hugh Jackman, we'll put this Rock'em Sock'em shit on. It looks so bad. But you know what? It is such an unbelievable premise. It looks like such a sideshow, like a carnival freak ride, that I think pretty much everyone is going to see Rock'em Sock'em Robots. It's going to be that kind of movie. But the other one... This is one of the cutest things I've ever seen, and I rarely remark on cuteness because I hate cuteness, but I think what they're doing is they're rebooting the Spy Kids franchise, because there's a new Spy Kids movie, but it's just called Spy Kids. So I think very oddly they're rebooting it, starring Jessica Alba, and that's about it. It has this if you look at the villain of this movie is essentially like an Elseworlds Dr. Insano. He acts like at least that's what I saw. Or at least, like any good mad scientist villain, he has goggles. That's the starting point with any mad scientist villain. He's got to rock the goggles. That's where Dr. Insano started. Was you got to have some eyewear. You got to have the headgear set you apart. You got to do that shit. But the best part of that one was at the end, we don't know the title. It's a Spy Kids movie because they're playing with the gadgets, but the title goes Spy Kids, and the title Spy Kids in 4D, and everyone kind of chuckles. They're like, 4D, and then there's this little kid goes in the most breathless, awestruck voice, goes 4D. Spy Kids in 4D, and the kid goes 4D. Yeah, that was close. 4D, and that's one more D, and it was the cutest thing. I swear to God, this kid was like the most cheesiest marketing gimmick ever. But this kid was like 4D. We gotta see it now. Seriously, the 4D sold that kid. The kid was like, oh, Spy Kids. 4D? Oh, classic. Oh, 4D. I 4. Okay, if that kid is gonna remember that for the rest of his life. When the moment he saw this movie, you know, he's seen the 3D. This shit, 4D. That's a whole extra D. Okay, so by the way, I never want it said ever again that I did a review of a movie I saw in the theaters that I said I didn't like. But I am going to play bad cop on this movie. But first, I'll talk about the shit I liked. Great casting. I love the performances. I think Michael Fassbender. He's really one of those. I really think Quentin Tarantino, when he started this, I know I'm fairly sure Inglourious Basterds wasn't Fassbender's first rodeo, but I really think he helped to discover a goldmine of talent, multifaceted talent as well. Christoph Waltz and you know, everyone in there who is multilingual. You know, Christoph Waltz especially, who, like, how many languages do you speak in Inglourious Basterds? Like 4, 5? English, German, French, Italian, at least 4. And Fassbender, he speaks in this movie, German, English, and French, at least 3. He goes performances in 3 languages. That's fucking unbelievable. Even Kevin Bacon, who I'm fairly sure does not know these languages. He probably faked it, but how he faked it well. It's very impressive to see actors giving performances in several languages. You know, I can speak a smidgen of French, but I would never attempt to give a performance in. You know what? Actually, now that I say that, I have given a performance in French. I was in a stage play where I played a French priest, and I spoke nothing but French. And I know, Benzai, if you're watching, I butchered the French language. Trust me, I did. But yeah, now that I think about it, I did give a performance in French. But I did speak to. There was a professor on campus who coached me for quite a while in my performance. So I don't know how badly I butchered the French, but I did okay. Anyway, it's kind of hard to describe what works about this one. Really, it's just a better script, like top to bottom, better script. It makes sense. That's a big plus. The action is better, the effects are better, and really I liked it. And part of the reason I came into this one wanting to hate it was the fact that I hate the X-Men. Period. I don't hate the X-Men. I do not like the X-Men, even in the comics. So I don't know a whole lot about the X-Men, and it helps, you know, for fans of the comics. It probably helps to know where I'm coming from on this one, because hardcore fans of the comics are probably horrified by some of this shit. In fact, I know exactly what some of this shit you're horrified at is. But I never liked the X-Men comics. I could just never get into them. The closest I ever got was reading the Ultimate X-Men when they launched the Ultimates line, and that romance wore off real fast, because that comic got to shit fast. But you know, I'll tell you why. The main reason why, and this is probably a really bad reason, but I don't know what to tell you. I always felt that the mutant thing never made much sense in the context of the Marvel Universe, for one. And two, the mutation thing I thought was always a really lazy excuse not to tell an origin story for your characters. They're just mutants. They have powers. Like, why does Cyclops shoot beams out of his eyes? He's a mutant. Why does fucking Havoc throw the beams he throws? He's a mutant. You know, this random chance. I never bought it. I always felt it was much better to tell an origin story. And you know what? You know what's amazing is, in this movie, they tell origin stories. Like, every single character gets an origin story, and it's well done. It's not as predictable as you would think. It's, you know, the way, you know that Charles Xavier is going to end up in a wheelchair at the end of the movie, but when it happened, I didn't see it coming. You know, I was like, oh shit, that had to suck. You know, and in fact, I know all the parts that horrified people. The origin of Magneto's helmet. The origin of Cerebro, which is essentially like built at a CIA compound. And it actually kind of contradicts what they actually say in the first movie. For all they tried to make it fit in the continuity of the movie series, the previous movies, the Cerebro thing is probably the worst example of things that that do not match. Because at some point, I think Patrick Stewart says, "Well, how do you know Magneto knows about Cerebro?" And he's like, "Because he helped me build it." And that's not true at all. That shit didn't happen. But I actually think that the X-Men series contradicted itself well before that with Hank McCoy. I believe it's in 2. You see the normal-looking Hank McCoy on TV, and then in the third one, Hank McCoy is just Beast now. I gotta sneeze. Hang on a second. Oh, man. I'm okay. But there's a fair amount of stuff that I can see why it would annoy comic fans. But I don't... There's a few ways you could come down on this movie where, like, I don't see how someone can say they liked... Well, I don't see how someone can say they liked any of the original X-Men movies at all. But I have heard comments saying this is the worst of the group, and you're out of your fucking minds. Really, like, I would rarely say that you're wrong. It's by far the best. Not even close. Like, you cannot say that with a straight face. Like, watch X-Men 3 and then come watch this one. Fuck you. Like, there's no way. I hate to sound like I'm gushing, but I guess I would gush on this one. I'm kind of speechless. Well, okay, I'll tell you what I didn't like. This will get me talking at least. The negative always gets me talking. Okay. Just like the original X-Men I said had a great ensemble cast, it did. And it had Halle Berry. This movie, X-Men First Class, had a great cast, top to bottom. And it had January Jones. For as good as this movie is, and it's very good, every single second that January Jones as Emma Frost is on screen is like a slow, horrible, orange peeler, the skin peeling off your bones of boredom. Her performance is excruciating. I made no sense just now, but her performance is so incoherently bad. It's unquantifiable how bad January Jones is in this movie. Oh my god. It is, oh my god, bad performance. It is horrible. It very nearly, you know, honestly, if she was in this movie more than she was, this would have derailed the entire flick. You know, like, here's the best comparison I can think of. I can see why you wouldn't like this movie. Honestly, after watching January Jones in this movie, I could see why you would hate this movie. She is that bad. If you're unable to look past that, and I can definitely see how you'd be unable to look past that god-awful fucking performance. Here's the best example I could think of. Here's a movie that's the same thing happens, but I could not look past the bad performance like I could here. Sin City. I loved Sin City, or at least I would have loved it, if not for Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba was in that movie for like 3 minutes. 3, maybe 4 minutes. But those minutes are so agonizing, so excruciatingly bad, that it ruins... she ruins Sin City. And I know, she's only in that for like 2% of that fucking movie. But that 2% is so bad. She is so bad in that flick. Sin City sucks. I honestly hit the chapter skip button when... Whoa. January Jones in this movie is so... You know what? Maybe she turns in a great performance here. I honestly could not have done a better job if the director had walked up to me and said, Noah, I want you to give all the emotional range of a lump of diamond. Go. Yeah, she does that. She gives all of the subtlety and nuance of an inanimate lump of carbon. She is so lifeless and dead in this movie. She's not even sexy. And that's what blows me away, is like, I could have maybe handled it if she was there just for sheer eye candy. If she did nothing but jiggle, she walks around this whole movie in a fucking bra, and it does like, oh god, she's so bad. She's not even like, she's not sultry or sexy in the slightest. She's just dull. She is so fucking dull. You get no impression of sexiness, of threat or menace, or any kind of intellectual depth, or any kind of, you get no inkling of the emotional connection between her and Kevin Bacon. She is, you might as, I swear to God, if you had just, she could have been stop motion animated out of like an action figure, like if you made this really great like life-size diamond action figure and like stop motion animated it, that would have been a more lifelike performance than the fucking human being January Jones turns in as fuck. She is so horrible. I cannot go on about this enough. Razzies, top contender Razzies, like right now. So like, you know, I'm retreating on this one. If you say that X-Men First Class is the worst of the series, and you say it's because of January Jones, I would back you. I would back you, no problem. She's so bad. Oh, I let out an audible groan every time she was. I was like, oh, oh man. It's like Halle Berry was so bad in every one of those X-Men movies. You couldn't believe it. Like that. You know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? It's just... I cannot go on enough about how bad she is in this movie. So, I will warn you, whenever you see the blonde, get ready, because you're in for the suck. I have not seen a worse performance all year. Wow. There's a few groaner lines in this one, too. You can kind of see where they're going with some of these setup lines, where like they talk, you know, the origin of the X-Men name, like they're like, we're still G-Men just without the G, and you're like, oh, we're going to the X-Men thing. That one's, but the thing is, what's funny is they're good enough actors that they pull off the obvious setup lines off. But the real groaner for me was, and I kind of liked it. It was a groaner, but I liked it. But again, I could see how somebody would just be like face palm. When they're kind of drafted by the CIA to form the first little X-Men team, they meet Hank McCoy, and his boss doesn't know that Hank is a mutant yet, and so Xavier says like, "Oh, show what you can do." Oh, your boss didn't know you're a mutant. Well, show him anyway. And the boss goes, "You're a mutant?" And Hank goes, "You didn't ask, so I didn't tell." And I basically like I very nearly stood up in the theater and just went, "Symbolism!" You know, it was wow. They've never been as obvious as they were here with the whole mutation equals homosexuality metaphor. But yeah, here they really they went full bore on that one. Really, that was the main downside was January Jones. I'm trying to... It really is. Okay, I will describe... You know how I was kind of speechless before trying to describe what I liked so much about this movie? I've got it now. It's the fact that they told origin stories here. The fact that you kind of got a sense of, many of these people as individual characters. The core cast members anyway. Some of these guys were just brought up to kind of show powers off, like Havoc and Banshee and Darwin. They just kind of show up to kind of sling some powers around, and that's fine. Like, you can't give everyone equal screen time, but it was really the characters, and besides that, I didn't really care about those characters anyway. It was the characters I cared about that got the characterization, that got background, and you got kind of a feeling of their friendship. Because this movie, more than any of them, was critical that we believed that in the first movie, you can tell that Xavier and Magneto are friends, but it's kind of strange belief that these guys are basically nemesis to each other, but they have like this weird they have this weird relationship of respect. It doesn't really make... Like, if you read the comics, I guess it kind of makes sense, but here I think better than the comic books, this movie establishes why these two have such a mutual respect for each other, and yet are enemies. You know, I actually think more than anything else, you actually you start to agree with Magneto, who is essentially a genocidal maniac, which is weird because at every turn he turns out to be right. You know, he basically tells Xavier, he's like, look, dude, when we're done with this, you know they're going to turn on us. This is how it starts. You know, they catalog, you know, they identify us, they catalog us, and before you know it, we're in a camp, and Xavier's like, it won't happen. And of course, you know, by the end, humans turn on them, and Magneto's like, what do I tell you? Like, you know, they're afraid of us, and they should be, because we're better, you know. And so, like, so you start to it really is great script writing when you can actually make the villain not only sympathetic, but you can actually very easily come to his way of thinking. You know, not to the point where you like, yay, commit genocide, but to the point where you really feel sorry for this guy. You feel sorry for the villain, and that's very rare. That level of characterization where you can see his point of view, you empathize, and you believe that the villain believes what he's doing is right. And more so than Kevin Bacon's character, who's just kind of evil for evil's sake. But you know what I mean, where you can see both their points of views and they're both valid, and you're like, wow, that's really more than the comic books, more than fucking like Ultimatum, you know, any of the series where Magneto's just kind of a one-note character where he's just like, mutants are better, we kill humans, and stuff like that. And they establish the friendship between these two. They establish the empathy that they share, where Xavier reads his mind and essentially experiences all of the memories that made Magneto what he is. And so it really highlights the difference between these two, where Xavier's like, you know, he's like, I not only do I know what pain you went through, I've felt your pain. You know, I've relived those experiences, and you've got to rise above that. You know, you've got to use that pain, but not let it overwhelm you. And Magneto's like, it's all I got, you know. But you believe these two are friends, and yet destined to be enemies. It really is a great dynamic that works here. They give Mystique. Actually, it's kind of funny in context looking back on Mystique in the previous movies, where she essentially has no characterization to speak of, and yet in this movie she really is kind of a fully fledged three-dimensional character, and it works a lot better. Hank McCoy really is that, you know, the dynamic between Mystique and Beast really works well too, because you've got these you've essentially got the two deformed characters who you know, who kind of find themselves kindred spirits in the sense that they're both struggling to, you know, find some sense of normalcy given their physical differences, but one of them wants to look, you know, one of them wants to embrace what she is, and, you know, the other one wants to try to fit in. And so I really think more than any of the movies, it gives them character, it gives them context, it gives them background, and it really helps to highlight without really beating you over the head over the, you know, the very obvious symbolism of, you know, homosexuality, racism, whatever you want to call it, except for that one time with the you didn't ask, I didn't tell thing. That was right in the face, but whatever. I really enjoyed this movie. I would actually go like to see it again. I never thought I would say that about any fucking X-Men movie. Very good. So yeah, check it out. I got to finish packing for E3, so aside from my earlier rambling, I hope you found this informative. And so yeah, this is a good review, so mark that on the score sheet. Have fun, you guys.